All right, let's take you now back to Sudan, where the army has confirmed a 7-day ceasefire deal with the paramilitary rapid support forces has been signed. Joining us now to discuss this from Madini City in Sudan is our correspondent, Naba Muhyiddin. Naba, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Significantly around this deal is that it's the first time the sides have actually signed a truce agreement, after negotiations. So what can we then expect during this period?
The ceasefire that was signed, or the short-term ceasefire that was signed in Jeddah on May 20, was highly welcomed by both Sudanese and by the military and by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we are expecting that the ceasefire this time will hold more, and it will open more corridors or opportunity for humanitarian aid workers and organizations to help those in need, because we witnessed 7 ceasefire that was failing from time to time, and there was violations of the ceasefire. But this time, after 6 weeks of the turmoil in Sudan and the armed conflict, we are expecting this fire will hold more and will help humanitarian aid organizations to reach those in need, especially in Khartoum, because the situation is catastrophe, and the two sides are willing to adhere this humanitarian ceasefire. There is a relative calm in Khartoum since it was announced last night, but there is also some fighting or some violation of it. But the fighting is not intensive as the past few weeks, so we are expecting that it will hold and it will be respected for humanitarian purposes.
In relation to this deal and the signing thereof, we do understand, of course, that the deal does not in any way address the political issues. Do we know of any ongoing discussions with other world leaders that are currently ongoing?
There is no announced discussions or political resolution. Only the discussion and the debate is about opening humanitarian corridors and about short-term ceasefire, which is highly welcome. But our sources told us that there is talks underway, and there is talks between the two sides. It's not face-to-face talks, but there is a compromise underway, and it's sponsored by United Nations and by United States and Saudi Arabia, but it's not announced. We are expecting, if these talks take place face to face, it will definitely help in relieving the situation and the political situation, and it will take Sudan out of the bottleneck. But it's not announced. Maybe after the two announced ceasefire and the short-term ceasefire and the humanitarian ceasefires, it will announce later. So we know that there is discussions underway, but it's not announced yet.
As someone who is in Sudan, and we obviously know that this battle enters its 6th week, just take us through just how this battle has affected Sudanese people. I mean, we are hearing, of course, that more than 1.1 million people have fled their homes, Naba, and you're obviously saying that in Khartoum it's relatively quiet now, but we heard that there was ongoing fighting a little bit earlier on. Just talk to us about the latest on the ground.
On the ground in the capital Khartoum, there is relative calm because of the announced or the latest ceasefire, but the situation is not 100% safe, and there is accusations of sexual harassments and assaults by the two sides. The two sides are accusing each other, so it's not safe right now for women specifically to stay in the capital Khartoum, and it's not safe for elderly people because there is still lack of medicine. There is shortages of water, food, medicine, and life-saving necessities. So the situation in Khartoum, the humanitarian and health situation, are catastrophic. Only 30% of the hospitals are working right now, and 60% of it are out of service. More than 28 health facilities were targeted and bombed. There is still dead bodies that have not been evacuated from the streets, also, which is warning of a looming health crisis. People are still stuck in their houses. They move, but very carefully to get just life-saving necessities and food and water and supplies, but it's still unsafe and the roads unsafe. Outside of Khartoum, like Madani, where I'm staying right now, which is the capital of Al Jazeera state and central Sudan, with the biggest population in Sudan, with more than 17 million people. Now there is overpopulation. More than 1 million people are displacing in Madani right now, which is pushing on the services and make real challenges for the government to provide food, water, and power services. So there is overpopulation everywhere in Madani Al Jazeera state. In northern state, in Port Sudan, the trade routes are closed, 100% closed, and the only port in Sudan has suspended all of the operations. So people are living on the goods and services which was already in country for 6 weeks, and there is real scarcity of everything, and the situation is deteriorating every day.
All right, Naba, thank you so much for that update. Our correspondent Naba Mohideen coming to us live there just outside of Khartoum, giving us the very latest in Sudan. Of course, the army has confirmed a 7-day ceasefire deal with the paramilitary rapid support forces has been enforced.